Hi everyone, this is Kerim Baran with Solar Academy. I have with me today again Will Wiseman of Climatize. We shared a little bit of information about Climatize in a prior solar conversation. And today, as we are recording the second solar conversation with Climatize, we have one of Climatize's early developer partners, Lawrence Chen, with us as well. Lawrence, good to have you. Well, good
Thank
to
you.
see you again. And
Thanks, Kerim.
so, you know, perhaps for the audience already knows Will's story probably, but Lawrence, if you could just share with us a little bit about yourself, your company, and what you're working on these days, and then maybe we can jump on to the Climatize app from there.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks so much for having me on your cast here. So my name is Lawrence Chan. I'm actually a physician by training, and I'm still a practicing physician, but got into renewable energies a couple of years ago and saw that there was a distinct need in terms of early stage financing, funding for the project. So while there are a lot of projects available, just the funding aspect has been really, really difficult, not just on the early stage, but at least on the debt side, meaning to fund the entire process. And so a couple of years ago, I've been partnering up with different developers around the country, one of them Associated Energy developers out of Plymouth near Boston. And so we've taken 3 of those projects and brought them forth through Climatize. And so far, we've gotten 2 of them fully funded. One of them made it to, 95%-ish. So we came very, very close to being fully funded. But it's been fantastic working with Climatize and been very, very helpful to get our projects through.
Thank you for sharing that. Will, we'd said in this conversation we'd dive a little bit into the Climatize app and then maybe highlight some of the projects.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So let me get this up here. Let me share my screen. So one moment, bear with me here.
If there's any issues on that.
There we go. Are you able to see this here?
Yep, we are.
All right, great. So with the Climatize app, essentially you can come in and browse various renewable energy projects across the country. And so, for example, this Shakespeare Theater here was one of the projects that we did with Larry and Associated Energy Developers. Additionally, Congregation Havas, based in New Jersey. And then previous before that as well, a community solar project based in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. And so with these projects, Associated Energy Developers was able to come in and essentially use their operating project portfolio to then essentially raise new investments from the community. And from that, they were able to raise debt financing with those projects to now go and reinvest into their new early stage development and construction projects. So, I mean, looking at kind of Congregation Havas here, you could come in and see ultimately a little overview of the project, kind of system specs, additionally impact in the community, what it means from a carbon perspective, additionally see their various social platforms, so they're able to get some marketing value. And then you see Larry's big smiling face there, as well as with the other execs of the AED team. And they have an incredible track record of doing over 300 projects in 30 states. So incredible track record, and we're really excited to partner with AED on these first projects to really help them capitalize their projects and move that much faster. And so we have some overviews of the project, and from that was ultimately we're able to see kind of their power yield curves, cash flows of those projects, and then really dig into the pro formas to better understand kind of what kind of debt could this project take on. So as an investor, they were in a senior secured first lien position on the project. And from that, an investor was able to earn 8% annual interest through these debt notes. And with that, AED was able to go and reinvest into their project pipeline. And so we're really excited to see some more community engagement on these projects and really kind of create a really tangible way for the communities to actually invest in the projects that were local to them. And so in doing even some customer research, we had people from the surrounding cities saying, hey, this was a project that I could drive to. it's something that I could really go and even see and meet the people behind the project. And that was something that was really exciting for us. So we're really happy to support these projects at a very community level and provide a very transparent way for people to, participate in the energy transition as an active stakeholder. And so now we've just launched a new project with a different developer that is really now helping target projects actually in the Southeast. So in North Carolina and Tennessee, of all places. And so with that, we've been seeing really exciting early traction together across 74 different investors. We've already raised $1.4 million in just the last 5 months since we launched in May. And so this has been a really, exciting channel to help fund some of these kind of smaller distributed energy projects that otherwise we had seen were really struggling to kind of attract that debt financing from banks and traditional financing kind of financing institutions. And so our goal is to really help developers like AED and Ovanova to be able to retain their project portfolios, acquire that debt at competitive rates, and help them really reinvest into the development of new projects in their pipeline so that they can accelerate the really impactful work that they're doing in communities.
Thank you. Thank you for all this overview, Will. So jumping back onto the early days of your relationship with Lawrence and developing your first set of projects, what were some of the problems that were arising? And maybe Lawrence, you can chime in a little bit, like what issues you were facing, and how did Climatize engage and add value to the process?
Yeah, the process itself was, I think we were very new to the whole Reg CF crowdfunding platform. And so there was a little bit of a learning process, especially for the first project. But by the time we got to the third project, it was much easier. All of us were familiar with the next process. There's a couple of those stepping stones that need to happen, but I think we've pretty well ironed out many of the issues we had initially to get us there. So when we come up with our fourth project and fifth project, it's just going to be so much more easier to do and seamless, to be honest. I mean, we've automated some of that process and made it so much more simpler.
Got it. And Lawrence, you were financing projects before.
That's correct.
What made you consider Climatize?
Well, so when we first started, it was actually funding from my family. So we'd taken some money and we were financing just the early stage development. And so just that's from signing to what we call NTP, meaning it's permission notice to proceed,
notice
right?
To proceed, yeah.
And then from there, we needed to finance the construction financing. So buying panels to pay EPCs to go and do the construction. And finally is the debt portion of it to be able to refinance the whole piece. Well, we found that within the C&I space, meaning the commercial and industrial space, it's very, very difficult. Like you go to banks and you say, hey, I want to finance this thing. They have no problems with financing a house or a rental property or self-storage. Not solar. They just don't understand it. It's a very, very difficult process for them. And since there's not that many people doing it, they just don't understand it. And the majority of the answer is no. They don't even spend the time to try to figure that out. So once we got to a certain point, we realized that the money we had put into these 3 projects, we needed to get out, because in order to get to the next project, we needed to refinance all of it into some sort of debt structure so that we can now take that extra money, in this case, $1.4 million, and now apply to the next 3, 5, 7 projects to keep going and keep moving forward. Otherwise, we're stuck with this 1.4 million and say, well, now what do we do with it? Because we're making a return, but we can't make more projects.
Got it. Thank you very much for this information. So if we dive a little bit into the process of establishing a partnership with Climatize for other developers, Will, can you tell us a little bit what that process looks like? Maybe talk a little bit about how you got connected with Lawrence as well, and then what does your current pipeline look like? How do you engage other developers? What does the onboarding process look like, and then the due diligence process after that?
Yeah, definitely. So Lawrence and I were connected by a mutual business acquaintance. And so through that, he reached out to us and said, hey, I've been really thinking about this kind of crowdfunding community engagement model for solar. And, we had thought about spinning it up, but there were so many hurdles to the regulatory approval process that in the end, we kind of didn't end up moving and ended up coming across you all. And so through that, then he reached out to us. And with these three projects, essentially they had their data rooms ready, they had their pro formas ready. And so really the only outstanding things were to get a CPA review on the first project and audits for the other two. And from there, we looked at, okay, what kind of technology have they selected, interconnection permits, site leases, O&M contracts. We wanted to look at, ultimately how much cash flow are these projects throwing off so that we can appropriately size that kind of debt service coverage ratio. And then from there, once we had a degree of certainty that these were high quality projects, then we worked with them to draft the kind of offering circulars that are submitted with the SEC. And from that helped with the paperwork filing of that documentation, getting Edgar codes and whatnot that goes with the actual kind of execution of the issuance of new securities. And so from that, we got the projects up and live, and then we're able to get out and start marketing both through organic video content, through some paid advertising, through newsletters, through podcasts like this. And that was how we were able to then go and get those first three projects capitalized. And so as for if a new developer wanted to come and essentially raise on Climatize, they can go to the website. We have a Get Funded tab. From there, you can kind of submit early information and book a consultation. We take that first meeting to kind of take a sniff test of a project. Is this a high quality project? Where are they kind of in the project's life cycle? How much are they seeking to raise? Is this a good fit? Is there a nice story behind the project? I mean, that's something that we're always really looking for, is that especially with kind of this community centric funding method, projects that have that human element to it is really important. And so, some of the projects now that we're working on with AED that we're seeing in the future, something like a Boys and Girls Club, that has a really great story. And we found that in particular, if a project has a kind of greater community impact, like that community solar project that benefited a low income community, or things with kids in particular, kind of transcends borders and is something that people are really excited to support. So looking forward to doing more of those projects in the future. But if a new developer came to us, we would sign an NDA with them to be able to kind of really dig in on the specifics of the project. And from there, if it seems like something that, is going to be a good fit for the platform, we'd sign an LOI. We'd then do the data intake of the data room and begin kind of really digging into the project specs. Additionally, we've recently signed a partnership with Banyan Infrastructure. They're a tailor-made kind of portfolio management tool for clean energy. And from that, that's going to help us really kind of compress our DD cycles so that all of that information is, in a single place, single source of truth, and provides us a single dashboard for management of all of these projects. And so, with that, once we get through DD with the developers, we help them draft that offering circular and post it to the platform. And then from there, kind of give them best practices for marketing their projects, kind of where to put it out, provide some pre-populated kind of media to be able to get it out to social media. And then also in the future, we're going to be building in kind of referral incentives so that the developers can share with friends, family, their community to really help bring them along as well.
Right. Sounds like you guys are rolling forward really nicely since we recorded the last conversation, probably a couple of months ago now. So what is next, Will? What's in the near future of Climatize as we conclude this recording?
Yeah, so I mean, we're in the process of hiring a growth marketing lead so that we can scale that customer acquisition and continue to really get more investors onto the platform. And looking forward to do projects 4 and 5 with Larry and AED so that we can keep them moving and accelerating. And then bringing new developers onto the platform helps us just prove out that this is a really exciting pathway for developers to really now engage their communities. And we hope that this kind of builds broad coalitions so that, it is not just, kind of clean energy walks like ourselves, but rather, actually building really tangible and transparent ways for people to feel like they're creating climate action in their community. and then looking to, also create bigger partnerships. We've signed a partnership with Arcadia, and that's really exciting for us because through that, they are the largest community solar subscriber in the country. And we want to enable their subscribers to be able to co-invest in their projects and vice versa. If you invest in a project, wouldn't it be great to be able to subscribe to that project and save 10 to 15% on your energy at the same time? And so creating these kind of synergistic relationships in the industry will help us kind of open the door, and I think really kind of release the floodgates of this pent up demand for climate action, where people feel like climate is a really urgent problem, but they felt kind of powerless to do anything. And so with this high degree of transparency and impact in your community, we really want to be that platform that enables transparent and really impactful climate investing.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks for this update, Will. Looking forward to the next one already.
Sounds great. Thanks, Kerim.
Thank you, Lawrence, for your time as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me.